So today I'm with Jackie. Jackie, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Jackie, how long have you been out here on the streets?
Well, this is my second time back out. In July, I started couch surfing, but on the streets, like actually just staying on the streets, is around the middle of October, I think, or towards the end.
And how long have you been using blues?
I actually don't use booze. My drug of choice was methamphetamine, so yeah, I'm probably about a year now. It was the drug that my mom was on, so I had always told myself I wasn't going to use it, and then I guess things change.
And how do you stay away from blues because they're so prevalent? They're everywhere.
Partially it was because I had overdosed when I was 16 on heroin, so opiates in general kind of just scared me. I lost a lot of people I know. It seems like every week somebody new passes away from it, but sometimes I still find myself wanting to, but I don't know. Even at the end of the day, dying still scares me a little bit.
16 is a really young age to start something heavy like H.
Yeah, I was really depressed from an early age. I was on antidepressants. I was in therapy from a lot of stuff that happened in family situations when I was younger, and I got to a point where I just didn't really want to be here anymore, and I ended up overdosing. I was living in San Francisco, and a bunch of 28-year-old men shot me up with heroin. I almost died. I was in the hospital for days. So.
Wow, you've experienced a lot of trauma in your young life, would you say?
Yeah.
You mentioned your mom has battled addiction as well.
Yeah, my mom was addicted mostly to methamphetamines, but she died speedballing when I was about 13. So.
Your mom passed away about 10 years ago from speedballing.
Yeah.
So my condolences. And do you think that's like a generational curse, like a generational cycle?
I think so, yeah. I think that's the case with most people out here on the streets, because the majority of the people on the streets do have problems with addiction. And I think one thing that, there's a lot of different people you meet out here, but the one thing that I've seen in common with everybody else who is an addict is all just running from something. That's what people spend their entire lives doing. And the only thing is that some people, functioning members of society, they're able to find a normal coping skill, something that is able to maintain throughout the day. But addicts is just constantly trying to numb the pain, but eventually you just look for higher and higher and higher amounts, and that's why a lot of people end up dying. Can't always run from everything, especially when it's from yourself.
So you've kind of been running from yourself since the age of 16.
Yeah.
When do you think you're gonna put a stop to that?
I don't know. Sometimes you tell yourself that there's always next time. I found myself talking with a lot of friends, and it's always yeah, I think I'm gonna go to detox. I think I'm gonna go to rehab, and that day just never seems to come. It's always tomorrow. So.
Where'd you go to high school?
I actually grew up in California, so I went to Lincoln High School. I dropped out when I was about 16. I ended up getting my GED. So.
What city is that?
San Francisco in California.
How long have you been in Phoenix?
3 years. I feel like the state has kind of kicked my ass since I got here.
Did you leave San Francisco to get away from that crowd, the drugs, but end up in Phoenix and it's just as bad?
In it just as bad. Well, worse actually. I struggled my whole life, but I feel like nowhere has really fucking sucked me into a hole like Arizona has. And I've heard a lot of people say the same. It's kind of like a hole you can't get out of. So.
And what type of help have you tried to get? Any type of treatment centers? Anything at all?
I haven't tried treatment centers. I've gone to a few NA meetings. For a while, those did help me quite a bit, and then I just kind of tapered off. The problem is convincing myself to go. Once I'm there, it feels okay, and it feels wow, motivating. But then you leave, and it's back around the same people, and back realizing that it's the same thing day after day after day, and just dealing with the same feelings. And it's hard when the same feelings are just anger, and realizing you can't be angry at anybody. You only really have yourself to blame for issues. And accountability is kind of a hard thing to deal with.
So one thing you mentioned is kind of lack of support,
Yeah.
right after treatment, or you go to NA meetings and then it feels good because you're there and there is support there, but then once you leave, you don't have a home, you don't have a
Yeah.
structure that's going to support you and help you, and instead you go to the crowd that right, the crowd
Yeah.
in the streets, and what do they have? They have more drugs, and so it's like just a vicious cycle you can't get up. I've heard that a lot of times, and there seems to be some credibility to that. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
What can society do, parents do, the government? What should happen? Any ideas? Have you thought about that?
I've thought about that. I would say probably the biggest thing is putting more of a focus on. I know when we were kids, they had the whole DARE program, like don't use drugs and everything, but they don't really educate you on it. A lot of people, like especially as children, they see it as this super foreign thing. Like I know to me, whenever I thought of drugs, I thought it was just this super crazy thing that only super crazy people did. That could never be me, and people don't realize that circumstances change in an instant, and putting more of a focus on that, and especially the younger crowd. I've noticed, especially out here in Arizona, it's people in high school, even middle schoolers even, and I think a lot of that is there are children out here. Some of them don't have that kind of family support system. Their parents aren't around, or their parents aren't involved or interested, and they don't have like programs out here. They don't have after school things. Like putting more of a focus on having just community in general. Like out here, everything costs money. You can't do something unless you have the money to do it. And so everybody who doesn't have that kind of money, what do? They band together with everybody else who does it. That usually just leads to the streets.
What message would you give to young people? The youngest I've seen out here personally smoking is 13. I talked to somebody the other day. He said he was 19, but he was really 14. And they're out here doing, blues, which is really, really scary. And people are overdosing every single day. Some make it and some don't. But what advice, since you've been seeing this at a young age, at 16, you're now 23, that's a really long time to live this lifestyle, and it's so dangerous, and you're so vulnerable out here to all the menaces, not just the drug itself, but all the people that don't wish you good, right? They want to use you and abuse you. So what advice would you have for young people thinking about trying this, or there's peer pressure involved?
Oh God, you don't want to end up like me. No, but on a serious note, I would say to practice loving yourself every single day, because the one thing in common that almost every single person who uses has is they don't love themselves. They don't even like themselves, really. The thing is that a lot of people think that it's self-love is either something you're born with or you're not, and that's not true. It's something you have to work at every single day. You have to practice that every single day. Choosing to put yourself first, choosing to make an effort, do something for yourself every single day. Even if it's some small little thing, like to take a few minutes, listen to music, do something. Practicing caring about yourself, because not, like I said, every single person, all of my friends, myself, family members that I have, like, that's just the one thing in common, is they don't know how to care about themselves, and they don't know how to stand up for themselves too. And as dumb as it sounds and cliche, the whole peer pressure thing, learning how to stand up for yourself is choosing the right crowd of people to be around. If it feels bad, like if you have a gut feeling about it, if it feels bad, then it is.
That's great advice for younger people. What about parents? Any advice for parents that see small changes in their kids? How can they be better, more attentive to the needs of their kids?
Just talk to them. A lot of parents, they don't talk to them. They're so focused on already having this agenda that they want their kids to follow. They don't actually have the time to talk to kids, teenagers. They're humans too, just smaller ones, and sometimes actually being able to sit there and have a conversation about how someone's feeling. I know the whole thing of Your parents are your parents. They're not supposed to be your friends. I get that, but on the other hand, there's a lot of teenagers out here and they don't have friends. And, the parents, that can be the only friend they have, and being able to talk about something. Because if you can't talk about it, those feelings don't go away. They just fester up inside of you.
Yeah, that's great advice as well for parents. And when you were younger, what did you want to become as an adult?
Oh gosh, the list of things is crazy. When I was real little, I thought I wanted to be an astronaut, like probably every other kid. When I got a little bit older, actually for quite a few years, I thought I wanted to do social work. Now I still kind of, if I ever got off the streets and like actually went to school, maybe that would be something that I would pursue.
And that's the key, is pursue something
Yeah.
positive, anything other than where you're at right now, so don't give up on yourself. You're still very young and you're able to rewrite the next chapter in your life to be something positive. Okay, so be an astronaut, be anything, therapist, help people. By you sharing your story, this story, you can actually save somebody's life. So you should be proud of yourself. Your family should be proud. If your friends or family see this, any message for them?
Just that I love them, and that nothing of how I ended up was because of them. That's just all personal stuff. Sometimes you just have to work through stuff on your own.
So thank you very much for sharing your story. I really appreciate you having the courage to open up, and hopefully somebody sees this and is impacted enough to stay away from the things you've been involved with, at an early age. And again, if I see you again, hopefully it's a good update that you're, doing good things, maybe in treatment center, AA meeting. And I'm gonna give you my card with my number so that you can call me if you need to write a treatment, if you need to talk to somebody, please call me, okay?
Thank you.
Here is a donated goodie bag
Thank you so
from
much.
one of my subscribers. Her name is Quinn. So she was giving you that bag. So those are little necessities.
Thank
Sometimes you
so
need that,
much.
right?
Yeah, thank you.
And also lunch has been provided by my subscribers. So I'll go grab you some lunch. So Jackie, thank you. Stay safe. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you.